Okay. Well, hello. Thank you guys for being here. I'm recording this for the parents that can't make it here so that we can hopefully get as much information out as we can in many ways that we can. So, if I haven't met you before, hello, my name is Steve Roach, co-head coach. This guy right here is Bob Bullis. He's the other co-head coach. So, I know. We also have Devin McCullough, one of our throws coaches, and Kurt Watson, our pole vault coach. So they're the ones that make it tonight, but thanks for coming, you guys. So, anyways, just want to run over some things. If you have questions about anything, please stop and ask me. If you're wondering it, someone else probably is too. First thing is communication. I'm assuming most of you are here because you probably got some kind of communication from me, whether it's from an email that I send out on Sundays, or I'm, for the moment, until we get Parent Square fully up and running, I still have some reminders. So actually, until Parent Square is fully ready, if you wouldn't mind, I'll get you in the remind group for parents, because I have one for parents and one's for athletes. So, if you have not received any remind messages from me, right now, send it to the number 81010. That's who you're sending it to. And in the message, @GOWENTRACK. Go When Track. Okay? And that's the parent group. So once again, 81010 and @GOWEN Track. And like I said, until Parent Square is fully up and running, and one thing I like about this for now is that we have a parent group and I've got an athlete group, and you don't need all the messages, they need vice versa. I have one scheduled to go out tonight at 7:30 and I guess I'll do this now. If you're interested in purchasing team gear, this is what our team gear sweatshirts look like this year. You can do so. The deadline is tonight. So tonight at midnight. So if you want to order anything, t-shirts, sweatshirts, whatever, I'm sending out that link so that you can order it, and it'll show up in 3 to 4 weeks to your house. It's pretty slick. So anyways, just want to throw that out there. Okay, so first topic to talk about is practices. Oh, yeah. Yep. Remind you, the number is 81010. That's who you're sending to. In the message, @Go When Track. GOWENTRACK. Awesome. Okay, practice. First of all, our practice starts at 3:45 every day. School goes till 3:25, so we give them 20 minutes to get ready and to report to where we're supposed to be that day. Track is different than a lot of sports. If you're new to track, it's a different animal, it's a different beast. A lot of the sports that have ball sports, you show up, this is what time practice starts, and you all do it in the same place and time. Track is 3-ring circuits, both in practice and in meets. And if you've been to track meets, you know what I'm talking about. But the only day we meet all together are Mondays. So we were right where you were sitting just a couple hours ago, and we go over our team information for the week, talk about everything they need to know, that kind of thing. But beyond that, every other day they meet with their primary event coach. So it's really important that your athlete checks in. For me, in my group, I work with a sprint jump group, and so we've got lists, and there's 3 coaches, and so we take turns checking everybody off. But that's how we know how they're there. End times. End times for practice vary depending on the group. And this is really confusing if you're used to basketball 6 to 8 or tennis is this, that. It doesn't work that way. It depends on what group they're in and what we're doing that day. Generally speaking, there are always exceptions to this. Distance is probably our first group that's done most days, usually done by 5:15. You say, Bob? What time do you think distance is done? What time is distance done most days?
Usually done by 5 o'clock.
So 5 o'clock is kind of the baseline for distance group. If they're a sprinter, jumper, hurdler, which is my group, it'll vary depending on the day. Like, for example, tomorrow is a lactate day, which means the speed endurance and lifting. So they'll probably be done around 5:30, which is a pretty safe number. If we're lifting, like, it depends. It might be a little later, but 5:30 is our baseline. Throws, they come home eventually. Six is the goal. They do lift. Coach, what days do they lift normally? It depends on the week. Yeah. So they're lifting 2-3 days a week, and lifting days they usually go a little bit later. And pole vaults, when the weather gets nicer, they might be out there till the sun goes down. So it depends. We have one runway, and we try to get to as best as we can. So it depends on your event group. Hopefully by now there's a little bit of normalcy. You've gotten a little bit used to our rhythm, and like I said, your expectation has to change a little bit if you're used to other sports, because we don't operate the same way. Next is, if your athlete's going to be absent, if they could, probably the easiest way, honestly, is to either come find me during school and tell me they're going to be absent, why, or have them send me an email, hey, I'm going to be out these days, and we just mark it down. I just write down what days that they are, that they're going to be absent. So otherwise, just think of it like going to school. Like if they're going to be absent, just excuse it. I'm not going to hunt you down or anything, but we do want to make sure that, if kids are on the roster, not showing up to practice. We've had kids who say they're in track and then they don't actually come to track, and that causes problems. So we just want to make sure they know where they are. Okay, that's practices. At meets, let me first try to explain meet schedule. If you saw the handbook, hopefully you have by now, it's not, again, we're not like every other sport. We have varsity meets, we have JV meets, we have invitationals. So, okay, I'll explain it this way. Varsity meets is 3 varsity league meets, and we get 5 athletes per event in all the events. So there's 17 events for boys and 18 for girls. That usually ends up being somewhere 90 to 100 athletes, okay? Now, other meets, like invites, we get 1 to 3 events, athletes per event. It depends on the meet, what they allow. Some meets, they have entry standards, and only certain, athletes are allowed in, so it depends on the meet. Generally speaking though, varsity will depend on where your athlete ranks on the team. If they rank higher in their events or event group, they're more likely to be invited to the varsity meets. JV meets, we do have 6 JV meets on the calendar. It should be pretty obvious, they all have a JV on the thing. Those are anyone who's not going to the varsity meet that week. Let's see, we're JV, we have one at Eastmont, we have one at Othello, we're hosting one. I think Moses Lake is hosting one, Freda, and we're doing one, it's not a shared JV, but we're calling it the Badger Mountain Blitz, and it's there's a varsity meet that week, and there's no other JV meet, and it's kind of a catch-all. So there'll be a little bit of mix in that one, and that's Eastmont's hosting that this year. So, anyways, our plan is like for example, our first thing is this week. It's the Jamboree. It's in Moses Lake. So everyone gets to go to that as long as they are academically eligible and they have at least 5 practices. They'll get to compete. We're actually right now planning for 3 buses, which is pretty cool. At last count, we have 160 kids signed up, which is pretty amazing. It's the biggest team since I've been here, and there's just a lot of excitement. Kids are really working hard, excited, having fun, and growing, and it's a cool thing. It's a really neat vibe right now. Anyway, so this Thursday, everyone gets to go. Other meets, it won't be that way. So it's going to be really important that your athletes communicate with the coach about what events am I doing, what meets am I doing, that kind of thing. And there are circumstances where I might have a kid who is maybe varsity in this event and wants to try that event. Every athlete gets 10 meets across the season. The Jamboree on Thursday does not count as one of them. It's technically a practice meet. So beyond that, they can't have more than 10. And so because of that, we have kids who are like, they didn't get into this meet or that meet, so we might put them in a JV meet here or there to get a little more competition. So it just depends on their circumstance. And it's really important your athletes are communicating with their event coach to know what meets they're going to go to. What we do is us coaches all go in. If you haven't yet been into athletic.net, you need to. About 15 years ago, there was a coach in Oregon who said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had some kind of web-based database where you could compare people's times and stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. Well, that grew and grew, and now the entire country uses it. And it's the baseline, like it's amazing if you've never seen it. It's got all the information about meets and details about what we're doing, but also your kids' marks, what they rank, what's their history. And so anyways, athletic.net will give you a really good idea of where your athlete ranks on our team. So go and look at it, look at our event records, and it'll tell you where they are on our team. That'll give you a good idea of what meets they're going to be competing in. So us coaches get on there, we put in all our entries, and what we do is before the meet we post them. We have out near the track a purple, it's old purple wooden board that we put all the entries, so every athlete should know the day before what the plan is for what events they're going to do. I also send those out on the Remind or in Parent Square once that gets set up. So hopefully you and all the kids will know this is the plan. These are the entries, and so just communicate as well as we can of what what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, so that's meet schedule. That's hopefully answers questions about what meet is my kid going to do, because obviously if you've never done this before, that can be confusing. Second thing, we do host 3 meets this year. We have our home invite, which is coming up kind of soon, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, March 22nd. It's the Ray Cochran Relays. It's been around for 30 years, maybe more than that. So a lot longer than Bob and I have been here. Yeah. So it's been around quite a while. And anyways, we need help. So in there's several different ways we need help. I need people out there to help run the events. Generally speaking, we will help provide workers, if you're long jump, we'll have people out there to pull tape or to rake pits or whatnot, or javelin or whatever the throws. But I need an adult to be in charge of the clipboard. We just can't have kids doing that. It's not good practice. And it gives you kind of a front row seat to watch and cheer them on too. So anyways, I sent out in my weekly email yesterday a list, a Senate Genius list for the jobs that we need. And maybe you're like, well, I don't know how to do this, or I'm not available. We also have a coach's hospitality room, and we, snacks and drinks for our coaches and coaches from other schools. And one of the kind of, perks of going to the invite is making sure that the other teams feel welcome and, that it's a place they want to be. So if you're available for any of that, if you could sign up on the Sign Up Genius list that I sent out yesterday. And by the way, those go to whatever email you use to register in Arbiter when you signed up this year. So whatever email, if you're like me, I've got 4 email addresses, and I only check work and my main home one. So if you use a different one, check that one, because that's where it went. Okay, next is if we're at a meet, let's say that you came to cheer on your son or daughter, which I highly recommend, and let's say you wanted to bring them home, you're allowed to. The procedure for that is there's going to be a form. It's the same form we use to check out attendance on our way there, and then you have to come and sign them out. So here's how you're going to know what to do. My purple clipboard, okay, I always make sure it's purple, it's the only one I got. It'll be near the team tent area. We've got a big Wenatchee Panther tent. You really can't miss it from any meet, and it'll be there. I don't keep it with me. We've tried before, leaving with Bob or leaving with me, and then people are constantly running around trying to find us, and we're kind of hard people to find in a track meet because we're off, coaching that kid, or cheering on that kid, or dealing with this issue or whatever. So we're just hard to find. So we leave the purple clipboard with the sign-up list near the team tent. Okay, and otherwise they're supposed to stay with us, and this is you giving us, I guess I don't know how to describe it. You're taking back custody is the wrong word. You're taking care of your kid, and you're taking them home from there. Now, really important on this is I get this sometimes is, our friends are, can they sign out? Our friends, can they go home with them? The answer is no. Okay, if I come at a meeting we're really good friends, I cannot. But if you plan in advance, you can. Okay. So there is a form on our Wenatchee Athletics page. It's called the Departure from Group form. And basically, it is something, it has to be prearranged. It can't be the morning of. You need to think of this in advance. But you're just saying that I am granting permission in advance for my son, daughter to ride home with so-and-so. And that is acceptable as long as you granted that in advance. Like I said, it's got to be printed out, signed by you, explain the reason why, bring it to the athletics office. Ms. Giacomazi will be there, and you can either hand it to her, put it in her box, she signs it and then brings it to me. I'm the last one to get it. So whenever kids want to hand it to me, I'm like, no, it's got to get their signature first, and then it comes to me last. And then we take those with us, so I know who's, not going to be coming home with us. So, but just want to be clear on that, because I always get, oh, but we're good friends. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm not allowed to do that. So, just so you guys know. My one request on that is, if at all possible, I request to have them stay. I understand that, especially, we have, 4 meets at Eastmont this year. I think there's more over there than there are here. And it's great, and I love it that we get to be close and that we get people coming to watch the meets. That's really cool. But as much as we can, track and field is an individual sport, and we try to make it as a team sport as much as we can. To me, and this is my own personal bias, my favorite event is the 4x4, which is always very last. There are only a handful of things we do in this sport that are truly a team, and the relays are one. And the 4x4, if you've never seen it before, we do this thing called Rock the Boat. It's really fun, because most of the kids are done with their events by then, and basically all the kids line up on one side of the track, and as our kid runs by, they run across the field to the other side and cheer them on the home stretch. So they're getting cheered on both sides, and it's just really fun. It's some of my favorite memories, both competing and coaching, are watching the kids, get really excited at 4x4. And it's just nothing like finishing and you have all your teammates cheering you on, So anyway, so if possible, I'd ask, don't send them out unless it's a need to. I always say that, kids are like, oh, I'm hungry, or I got homework, and it's like, yeah, and some of the kids in the 4x4 too. They probably love it if you'd stick around and cheer them on. So that's my request. I think the more that we have there, and to be honest, some of my favorite meets are where we kind of travel further away and kids don't sign out and they're all there at the finish because it's cool. And I've seen some really fun, special things where the 4x4 decided to meet and, the kids cheered them on, making a difference. All right. If your son or daughter is not going to be able to go to a meet, please let their event coach know kind of as early as convenience. Like some of these meets, we get 3 kids or 2 kids or whatever, and there are entry deadlines. And so let's say that, whatever, there's a meet coming up on Saturday, and we find out on Thursday that, oh, they can't make it. Well, now we go to the next person in line and hopefully they're available. So the sooner we can know if they're going to be absent from a meet that they otherwise would have gone to, the more helpful that would be for us. So we would appreciate that. Okay, next is uniforms or equipment. So we check everyone out a uniform top, okay, a jersey top. Now shorts, because of the way our rules work, we just ask for black shorts. And not like stripes or multicolored, whatever, just generic, like what Sean, you was saying for a second. Sean, this is Sean, he's one of our varsity runners, so Sean's shorts are perfect, okay? Just black shorts, and you can honestly, tights are fine, whatever, just keep it basic black. We do check out some shorts to our relays to ensure that they match. We've had issues in the past, we went to state, and one of our kids was told they couldn't run because of a different color waistband. And anyway, so we just sidestep that and check them out to varsity relay kids. What else? Clothing, you guys. I understand I work at a public school with teenage children. Common sense, they say, is not always so common. That it gets cold. It gets cold out there. We've been, the last week was phenomenal. I mean, that was probably the nicest first week I've ever had coaching weather-wise. That was so nice. It doesn't always stay that way, right? One of the things I tell the kids is when the sun goes down over Saddle Rock, it's instantly 10 degrees cooler. Like in the moment it's down, you feel like, whoa, that just got colder, right? And I always tell kids, you can always, layers, you can always take them off. You can't put them on if you didn't bring them. So bring layers, bring layers. And kids are always so like, nah, it won't matter, I'm tough. And then I see them out there like, you know, and just dying, freezing. And I'm like, what did I tell you? Bring layers. Like this meet we're going to on Thursday, it's supposed to be 55 degrees, which is not bad, but there's a 15-mile-an-hour wind. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter how hot it is, if you just feel frozen the entire time. Bring layers. And one thing I learned when I moved to Eastern Washington is windbreakers are amazing. Windbreakers are worth their weight in gold in the spring because it just makes all the difference. So bring layers. Please encourage that. Okay, shoes and spikes. If your athlete is a runner, so they're like sprints, jumps, hurdles, or distance, they need to have some good shoes. Especially if they're distance. Distance is the most important for what kind of training shoe. You don't just want to run them out there with just anything. And I'm not saying you need to go out and spend a lot of money, but I'm saying that you want to find something that is comfortable, has support, and you know, because they're going to put a lot of pounding on their legs, a lot of pounding on their feet, and so it just really matters they're in good shoes. Sprinters, it's not as important. We sprint, we don't do distance running, but at the same time, you know, I've seen kids get hurt. Kids that come out in, you know, the same shoes they wore to school, which were not, you know, athletic shoes. So you want to, shoes matter a lot, especially for those kids. Runners, we do recommend kids get spikes. Spikes do make a difference, especially in the shorter sprints and jumps. We do have 2 boxes full of spikes that have been donated from athletes that have gone on to, you know, graduate and move on. And so we have a decent number of, if either it's a hardship in your family that spikes have been donated, or we also have means to go out and help you purchase spikes if that's something your family needs. It's really important to me that no kid is like unable to get spikes if they need them because of money. We have sort of one of our sources is the Booster Club. They support us with things like that. And so I'll pitch the Booster Club again. If you haven't joined, I recommend it. They're a wonderful organization. They do like our senior night. They give us money so that we can do things on our seniors, and they do things throughout the season too that just can make the kids feel special. Little things that make a big difference that the kids really notice. So, shoes, spikes, and then about uniforms. I forgot to mention. I think we've got most everybody in uniforms now, which is great. But every single year I've done this, I have a number of kids say, Coach, why did I get fined? I turned in my uniform. And which I say, well, you're welcome to look through all the uniforms, but I don't see your number. Like all the kids, all the uniforms have a number on the tag, and if you don't turn in like the most common reason is kids after a meet, they strip off their jersey, they go to change into something, they throw it in a pile, and there's a pile of about 8 jerseys right there, and they're like, I think that one was mine, and they grab it, and they walk off, and they don't think about it again, and at the end of the year, they turn in somebody else's jersey, right, and that person gets cleared, but they don't because person who has their jersey didn't turn it in. So it's really important, number one, they know what numbers they have. I told the kids to write it down, put a note in your phone, somewhere you won't forget it, okay, because it happens, right? It happens actually more often than we admit. And to understand that you are responsible to turn in the uniform checked out to you, okay? If you turn in somebody else's uniform, that's a thank you, but you don't get credit. Okay? And I have kids, I swear I handed it to you. I said, you probably did. And I'm not doubting you did. You just didn't hand in yours. So it's important that we get those back because, you know, that costs money and we don't have unlimited sources of money. Okay. Other topics. So lettering standards. In the team handbook that's sent out, one of the pages in there has to do with lettering standards. It's how you get a varsity letter. So first of all, they have to complete the season in good standing. So that means if you quit, you're not getting a letter. 2, they have their standards. Like every event has a number. And like just off the top of my head, for the boys 100, it's like 11.8. So they have to run 11.8 or faster at some point during the season to get a varsity letter. We also have what's called 9th grade lettering standards. which are just a little bit lower. It's a mark that's a little more achievable. It's tough for a ninth grader to come in and have the ability to hit some of those varsity letter marks, so we put a second standard on there. So again, this is all in the team handbook that was sent out. If you need a copy of it, it's on the athletics page on the track and field. They linked it, so you can see it that way. I think I sent it out in my first weekly email as well, so there's a couple different places you can see it. We do actually have a website. I like one that I make and that I control. That's got information about our team, our coaches, our history, our culture, things like that. I'm gonna make sure, because we just got a new WHS Athletics webpage. I want to make sure that it gets linked in there, so if you go there and you're like team webpage, essentially the one that I make and control. And it's just got more information, a lot of which I've shared to you, but it includes the lettering standards as well. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest things that I had down to talk about. Coaches, anything else you think is good for the order?
The other thing I would say when you're talking about shoes is spend money on training shoes. Okay? That's these or whatever. Don't spend a lot of money on spikes. Spikes give you no protection whatsoever. They just run better out of track. So don't spend your money on spikes. Spend it on training shoes.
Exactly. So just in case you couldn't hear, especially if you're distance, and I'll throw in sprinters as well. It's better to go bigger on getting nicer training shoes. The spikes. Here's the thing. My own daughter as well. They like the flashy spikes that do fancy things, but the difference of what it gives you in performance is pretty minimal, and the benefit is pretty minimal. The cheaper spikes and the expensive ones, there's not a big difference. Running shoes though, I'll just put in a little plug real fast. Performance footwear, downtown Wenatchee Avenue, running store, and other things. But from my experience, they do a really good job. They will help you figure out especially the right kind of shoe, and their people there are experts. And if you mention your summer daughters to the track team, they give you a 10% discount as well. So. And it's not the cheapest running store in the world, but I think that it's really good and the quality is worth it. So just want to throw that out there because they also support us and our athletes as well. So good. Okay, questions? Yeah, good question. So it's our 4x100 relay. So in track, 17 events. On the girls' side, there are 3 relays, standard relays, I should say. A 4x1, a 4x2, and a 4x4. Okay. On the boys' side, we have a 4x1 and a 4x4. Don't get me started on the 4x2 issue. It's ridiculous. That should be fixed. Anyway, but at this Ray Cochran meet, a week from Saturday that we're hosting, it's a relay meet, and I advertise it to coaches as it's the only true relay meet in the state of Washington. And maybe one of the few in the country. So we have a 4x1, 4x2, 4x3, 4x4, 4x8, sprint medley, distance medley, shuttle hurdles. Okay, those are all relays. And then all of the field events are also relays that we add them together. So if they pole vault 10, 10, and 10, the team's total is 30 feet. And they compete as a team in that regard. So anyway, it's a different, but it's a unique thing. That's not common. So, but the standard are the 3 relays. So, good. More questions?
We have 5 Saturdays in a row. So, sunscreen, sun protection. Hydration.
In case you didn't hear, so especially for our Saturday meets, which we have many of, yes, we go from the too cold to too warm. By the end, it gets really warm. Sunscreen is a really great idea. You're going to see me wearing bucket hats once we get more sun out, because some people need protection. Something else along that line to mention: we have a meet this year, the night of prom. Okay, just want to be clear to everybody that athletes can choose prom or the meet. It's not held against them in any way. Okay. So if they choose to go to prom, they're not going to lose their varsity spot or anything like that. We welcome and encourage kids to go to prom. It's a great, wonderful experience. Those that aren't going or don't want to go to prom can go. We're going to wall that day. So again, it's up to you to choose that. I should also mention really quick, we have one unique thing this year that we haven't done in the past. The weekend before spring break, we have 2 meets on the same day. We have the Don Holder Relays in Yakima and Eisenhower. And then the same day we have Oregon Relays. Oregon Relays is an elite meet, and we are going to bring probably like 12 kids in total. The standards getting to that meet are really, really high. And so just so you know, a vast majority of our kids will not be going to that meet. So not to get you those of you going to take it to amazing. Hayward Field is the best track and field facility in America. They host the World Championships. It's unbelievable. I hope to be going back in future years and hopefully getting to bring more kids. But just so you know, I don't want anybody out there like, but it says on there, So we get a very small group. I think most of them I've already spoken to as far as thinking that they may make it. And it's those other kids, they have to earn it. Nothing in this sport is ever like one of the things I love about it is I've never had a conversation with a parent about playing time. At the end of the day, the marks speak for themselves. If you want to be varsity, run faster, jump farther, throw farther. It's pretty simple. It is worthy of note that there are sometimes circumstances we have to take into account. Sometimes an athlete was sick and they were out for a week. Sometimes an athlete was hurt and they came back. So there is occasionally a little bit of judgment that goes in. Also, we have some amazing athletes that could probably be varsity in 12 events if they wanted to, but they're only going to do a max of 4. So whatever events they don't do opens up a spot for somebody else. So there's a little bit of movement in regards to who's doing what in those events. So that helps. So more questions? Okay, so just to kind of wrap up, hopefully you guys got the remind again. Expect an email from me every weekend, every Sunday. And all of this right now, I'm recording it. I'll be posting this and putting it on YouTube, so anybody that's not here can hear. I try to come up with as many details as I can in those emails. If there's something I forgot or missed, whatever, I always put my email address at the end. Please don't hit reply to that one because I don't see it. You have to send it to my email address. I try to communicate. I probably over-communicate. I guess probably better than the opposite. And here's what I'll say too. Your athlete and event coaches are really critical. It's really important that they are in communication with them if they're injured, if they have conflicts, if whatever's going on. They should be talking to that event coach. Bob and I have a big job. There's a lot of kids, and I'm getting pretty good. I would say I've got name to face. I'm probably, of my group, I've probably got 95%. The rest of the group, I've probably got 80%. But just a lot of kids to know and to manage. So it's really important to have that connection with their event coach. So, and just once again, if you could help with Raycock and Relays, look in the email I sent out yesterday, sign up. And they're all like 2-hour jobs. So if you can do 2 hours, and I know how it is. You want to watch your kid compete. So you want to help make that happen. So, anyways, if you're willing, we would love to have your help. And like I said before, I'm really grateful. I feel like we have a wonderful community here. We've had really, to me, the fact that we have 160 kids out is a sign of the health of sports in our community and also support from our parents and families. If it was something that athletes didn't want to do and parents were interested, we would have a lot smaller numbers. So I'm really appreciative of the support from all of you guys. So, all right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to come by after the fact. But thanks for coming and have a great night.